Yo, so my first thoughts after hearing the balance patch was how were they gonna nerf or just the top tiers? More specifically, one of the best teams in the game, Yasha created Hikari mastered the Fusion 17 squad. And honestly, they didn't really get too many changes, so that's why I'll put them all together and kind of discuss them as a whole. So this video will be looking at the patch for Gogeta Blue, Vegito Blue, and Android 17. We'll start with Gogeta Blue. He didn't get much, but what he did get is that his aerial down heavy now combos with his grounded down heavy. At first, I thought it was just to improve his confirms and stuff, but if you start the combo with Super Dash, landing down doesn't reset that Super Dash. You can't Super Dash again. Even at the end of really long combos, like if I do his normal same BNB, boom boom, I don't get the smash effect of the 2H anyway, so it's not really comboable. Yeah, so that was kind of lame. I don't understand that part. And he didn't need this aerial down heavy to be changed because he has this rejump, right? So that rejump is still more optimal than spending your smash again. I can understand if it's just for casuals like beginners to give them easier extensions with Gogetas, but it's not even good because you don't even get sliding knockdown from it, so that's kind of yikes. It also said that they have some changes to the light version of the Rising Vortex, which is a great anti-air move, but I don't really see anything too crazy with it. And apparently they adjusted the distance move from this super as well, maybe to help keep it more consistent if you use it as a combo ender. I don't know, nothing too crazy. And then what the patch note says too is that his C assist is now sped up as well. And what's interesting is that he still suffers from the meter nerf, right? But when you're in solo limit break, they gave every character passive key regeneration. Yeah, you don't want to play Gogeta Blue solo, but I feel like the ones who did get that meter penalty benefit the most from this passive key regeneration if it ever does occur. Another kind of buff that he has is his ability to handle perfect reflex on his mix-up. So perfect reflex can, reflect away super dash mix-ups, but he's able to jail those, right? So where opponents can escape 50-50s by vanishing after getting a perfect reflect in, you can't vanish after Gogeta's beam, so that kind of makes his mix tight, which puts him a step ahead of the meta, kind of, with other characters who can also jail their beam into super dashes. Although you do need to be careful if you're setting up his other Rekka mix-ups. The barrier has you covered. And speaking of assists, both A and B assist cooldown have now been reduced by half, meaning you can use more barriers more often. So Gogeta has a lot of flaws in his gameplay, and barrier is the biggest thing that helps him keep him safe, right? Even in Evo, Hikari will secure most of his hits from his assists, right? From these defensive assists. So defensive assists are even stronger now. You would see him do things like whiff a Dragon Rush and then get the hit there on the bait. Dash blocking in plus the assist. Come on, we know all about how good 17 is, and now you can just use him more often because he comes back way quicker. So if you do something crazy and then they don't bite, they don't get the hit, you reset to neutral, you can engage again with 17 pretty early on. And it's so much harder to bait out these assists just because if you do bait it out, he just retreats a little bit and then look how fast it comes back. Right in your face again, boom, it's ready. So any teams that uses any forms of defensive assists definitely got stronger, and that's including this huge Fusions team. 17 got some buffs actually. His Rekkas are faster, top gear is faster, the first hit after his Rekkas. The light version of the overhead is also faster, which is crazy because his Rekkas was already really good. So top gear is faster, and so is second gear. And EX Fake Out also has reduced recovery. So against really strong opponents, that's when it comes in. And his Rekkas were already good because, you get 50-50s on Oki from it. I guess they just want 17 to be more independent maybe, instead of being viewed as like this backup character for just the fusions. And 17 C assist has increased blocks on that 60, which is actually really sick and really viable. So if you don't want to bury up, you can do that. But the thing is, C assists still have the same long cooldown. And as we mentioned, if you're planning on using his barrier assist, it's even better now for your teams because it comes back so much quicker. And if you ever find yourself with solo 17, the bright side is that he builds tons of meter by himself, so the passive meter gain only adds on to that, which is really nice to have. And then there's Vegito. I don't know what Bondi's obsession is with this 6S thing that they have going on, but you can hold 6S to get command grab like Baby and everyone else. But it's so slow, it kind of reminds me of just holding 214S that he had a long time ago, so I don't think he'll land that often. Especially since like Baby and them, he doesn't get too much for landing these in combos as well. Not even making it to 1 bar because of the meter penalty that he suffers. You won't believe this, man. Crouching heavy? Yeah, if you do 3H, it throws him forward, bro. But Vegito's 2H was already really good at stopping like these cursed super dashes because of his vertical hitbox. So I just think his main purpose is just, to staircase them down better as a better poke. Usually when characters get these 3 H changes and combos, it helps for side switches, but not in Vegito's case, sadly. And if you press forward, you can get 2 5S's, and I think the main use of this is for pressure, because look at how it spaces me out perfectly here. So I can use this to set up some pretty cool spacing stuff in pressure, right? So right there, if they mash 5M counters, it can kind of be like Blue Vegeta having 2 of these pressure things to set up some really unique pressure options, which I think is pretty neat because of some safe Banshee Blast setups, spacing strings. I think it's pretty cool, especially if you add the new 3H into it to confirm like so. But you know, his actually good one that you're going to be using all the time, full screen, that's 14 frames. You can't really double step this, so it can't really help to confirm that one, sadly. But it did look like they reduced the amount of damage that you can get on this, which is a good thing, making this crazy tool more manageable. And I think reducing the damage on the tool that's so fast, full screen away, and so easy to confirm is a smart idea. Another nerf is his EX grab. You guys know how crazy this move is. It looks like they scaled it down a bit to do less damage, especially on the initial hit. But remember, you can still use this tool to extend your combos whenever you want, which is a really nice tool to have. And Vegito's biggest nerf is that all of his legs at the end of his block strings are -7. Mid-screen, because of the pushback, you're still safe and stuff, and sometimes you're able to do some backstep pressure still. But in the corner, you can't even do this on block anymore because it's a punish every time. I can't even block it. Can't even do anything here. So while this does seem like Vegito's biggest nerf, it just changes the way that he needs to pressure, being more mindful of everything. And like Gogeta, he takes full advantage of defensive assists to help him come in. And even if you block, like say you block his same side sword, he can continue pressuring and then get barrier afterwards as well, because he comes back quicker. So while the system mechanics kind of do buff this team's game plan, the nerfs of Vegito here and there to make it more manageable makes sense. What do you guys think about this team? Do you guys think this team is still broken? It's kind of interesting to see how the system mechanics kind of favor them, but that just shows how they play Dragon Ball FighterZ at such a high level, you know? Individually, besides Vegito, they're manageable, but together they're still insane in my opinion.